Hello, fabulous ladies. It is Camille here, and for those of you who haven't met me, I help single-driven women in how to attract a great partner so they can have that loving, committed, and passionate relationship they so deserve. And today, I've got a very special guest as part of the Successful Women in Love interview series, and she's a great friend of mine. We actually know each other really well. So I've known Cat for a long time. So her name is Cat LeBlanc. She's a business strategist, and we'll be really talking about the topics of love and success, and really how to have the cake and eat it too. So welcome on the call, Cat. So great to have you.
Thank you, Camille. We've had this plan for a while, and I'm so glad we're doing this.
It's finally happening. So for the ladies who don't know who you are, can you just tell the audience, what it is you actually do as a business strategist, and why are you so passionate about what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm a business strategist, as Camille said. So I help ladies who are new to online business find the right business idea, get paying clients quickly, and build a business foundation that scales. And I guess the reason I'm so passionate about this is because it just enables a different level of freedom in life. So I find a lot of people, they can progress in a career, but really they can only get so far until they're kind of like knocking at the ceiling of how do I make it better? How do I get more freedom in my life? So by starting an online business, it enables people to work from home, take their business on the road together, do all kinds of things. And it's, not going to the office every day just brings an incredible level of freedom to people's lives. And of course, they have control of their income as well. So it's just an area that I'm really passionate about, and, something that we talk a lot about as well. So in our courses, Camille and I have a lot of contacts in our business.
Yes, we both love we both don't like to be told what to do. I think we've got that in common, and we both like, freedom and flexibility, freedom of choice. So yes, absolutely. And we will talk about your business a little bit more later in the interview. But I want to dive straight into the topic of love and dating. And you have now been with your fiance, Adi, for quite a few years. How many years has it been now?
5 years now,
5 years. And I've met Adi a few times, and you're in a beautiful, loving, passionate relationship. So before you met him, was there a bit of did you ever struggle with how to attract a great partner, or has the dating thing always come really easily to you?
So it definitely didn't come easy. I almost feel like that I never really dated. Like, I don't even know how to do that almost. So I've been married previously. So I moved around a lot in my life. So I lived in England till I was about 21. I was in Brazil for half a year. Then I moved to Germany for 10 years before coming here. So a lot of the time I was in an environment where people were expats and people were moving, and I was never really a local anywhere. So I found it extremely challenging to meet a man. So most of my adult life I was in Germany, and I wasn't really into German men, to be totally honest. Like, everyone, it wasn't my kind of scene. I loved living there. It was amazing, but I just couldn't. I had incredible difficulty finding a partner, really. I found that most people were, here for a few months, they were leaving, and it was just really hard to find someone who was in a space of looking for a relationship. And yeah, it was just really challenging. So I was married previously. I was married for the first half of my period in Germany. And also when we broke up, so I was 30 when we broke up, and it was still, I guess it's never been easy for me, and it's always been, I think for me in particular, my problem was chasing the wrong kind of man, which I'm sure is something that you have amazing advice on.
Yes. So just as a bit of an example, were there men who were the sort of the bad boys, or men who just what kind of were they into sex, drugs, and rock and roll, or what? What was their thing?
Well, my ex is in a band.
Okay.
He's a good guy though. So for me, it was, I like really intelligent men who have a real passion in life. So that's something that always really attracted me. So my ex was crazy passionate about music. He's has an encyclopedic knowledge of music. I had a boyfriend that was a graphic designer and was really into literature. And I think I really liked this idea that I could step into this whole new experience and world with this person. And it just really attracted me when these men were so intelligent and so interested in something. And in retrospect, even though my partner is not that different, he's not obsessive about the thing that he's into. And what that kind of turned out to be for me was that these guys that I were interested in, they were more interested in whatever their thing was than me.
Yes. Yeah.
So I ended up being in a situation of always kind of not really having the power in the relationship, always wanting more from the person, always feeling like I'm not getting enough, I'm not getting attention, I'm not getting the love I need, essentially. So it was only really much later in life, so I met AD, well, I must have been 35 because I'm 40 now, that I actually really, in my adult life, experienced like a proper balanced relationship. So it definitely took me significantly longer than, it does many women.
It's so good to hear, because I talk to a lot of women who, when they first, when we first chat, they often feel like, oh, am I the only one who struggles with this and who hasn't sort of had a great relationship? And, so it's just good to know that, there's so many women who have similar stories. So what I'd love to dive into, because I know the story, is sort of how you ended up meeting your beautiful fiancé. Tell us a little bit about how that all happened.
So I will admit that I found this story a little embarrassing for a long time, and I never thought that I'd have to tell people this is how it happened, but now I've told it so many times that it doesn't really bother me anymore. So I knew I was going to be, so this has all happened when I was still living in Germany before I'd emigrated to Australia. And as I said before, I really wasn't into German men very much. I just found they were kind of very serious, very work-oriented. It wasn't really my thing. And so I knew I was moving to Australia, and there was like 4 or 5 months to go. And I just decided, like, well, exciting times ahead. There's going to be interesting men in Australia. It's going to be a whole new, scene I can date. People are going to be not necessarily moving away all the time. So I decided to basically have a look at men on the internet, on the dating website.
Love it.
So it was Sunday night, I thought I'd have a look, and they do this really clever thing. They let you have a look at a couple of profiles, and then they say, okay, you need to make a profile. So I thought, okay, I'll just put up a profile. I won't, put really much effort into it, and then it's like you have to add a photo. I was like, oh, okay. But it's Sunday night, no one's going to see me looking. I'll just delete it in the morning. So I put up a profile, and I put a picture, and I put a very honest description, which basically said, this is what I like doing. I'm not even here yet. Like, I'm moving from Germany. I'm going to be in Australia in 3 or 4 months' time, and I'm just hanging out, having a look, because what did I have to lose? I didn't think anyone was going to see this. And then, so I went to bed, got up the next day, and I had 20 messages. And I was like, oh my God, there are men. Because it really felt like the German dating scene was very much like people don't approach each other in bars. So there wasn't really a mechanism for me to meet anyone other than through friends that I already knew. And I had, I didn't have, everyone I knew was an expat, so it just wasn't working for me. So, and just even to get attention from men from the dating website was just like a huge rush for me. None of that was happening in my life, like 5 years or something. So, and, I got some really funny messages, which was like really, uplifting and fun. And I ended up writing to a couple of guys for an extended period. And then it turned out that I was just writing to AD. And this continued basically for 4 months over the whole period of leading up to me moving to Australia. So first of all, we'd email, and what I loved about him was he didn't play any games. He always just emailed me right back. Like if he was at his computer, he would email me back. And then, we were emailing more and more. And the last few months of my work, I was always like at my computer, typing, and I was just like, my colleagues were like, who are you writing to? What's going on? it was just so exciting because there was this build-up of meeting him, and then, you know, we became Facebook friends, so I could see who his family was, that he wasn't, you know, crazy guy that was making it all up or something like this. And then we Skyped for the first time, and everything was great. We were both really, really, really excited to meet each other. And then we kind of decided that the time was coming when I was coming to Australia, and we decided that we couldn't wait, and he was going to pick me up from the airport. And I was really scared about this because I literally, all of my possessions were either on my person or they were in a container in the middle of the ocean on the way to Australia. So I felt obviously like very vulnerable, like all my valuables were on me. You know, I was just arriving in a new country. I was staying like in a hostel. I was in the middle of setting up a job, but, you know, my whole life was changing. I didn't have anyone to rescue me if he turned out to be a psycho killer. So basically I told a number of my friends, like, this is what I'm doing. I'm assuming everything's fine. My parents even knew, I think. I think even my grandmother knew. Everybody knew what was happening. I said, you know, I'm going to check in. If you don't hear from me, like, raise the alarm. I'm not expecting anything like that to happen, but just in case. And, you know the story. So he met me at the airport, and it wasn't immediate, you know.
Love at first sight.
No, it wasn't. So he wasn't as tall as he had said he was. I'll explain why that was in a minute. And it's not that I care how tall he is, but I care about lying. So, and he also, and yeah, Camille knows this, so he also arrived at the airport late. After I had been in transit like 30 hours, and I had showered literally every stop because I was so nervous. And and he arrived in a Harley Davidson t-shirt with a like scantily clad lady draped over a motorbike, and I was like, oh my God, like, for me, and I think this is the case for most women, but I'm just going to say, for me as a European living in Germany, like, no one I would ever want to socialise would wear such a thing.
Yeah.
Like, so I was like, who is this guy? He's, you know, like, he lied about his height. He's wearing some really sexist thing. Like, what does this mean? And so we kind of like hung out a bit. He took me to my hostel. He still makes fun of me to this day because I wouldn't let him carry my rucksack or my things because I was so afraid of just having my stuff with me because I didn't have anything else in the world at that point. And I wrote to my friend and I was like, epic disappointment. And she's like, no, really? Like, everything's been going so well for so long. But we decided, like, we're going to go and meet at the pub the next evening. And we met at the pub, and then I think we got to know each other properly in person because the dynamic is different, even if you Skyped, even if you emailed. And then I kind of started to fall in love with him. And that's basically how it went. And then later on, he actually made some really interesting points. He said to me that he actually genuinely did believe he was that height, and he argued to the death of it. And I was like, I'm going to measure you and prove this. And then he was like, okay. So he hadn't been lying. And with the t-shirt, his point was, I found this so interesting. His point was, if we've had contact for so long and we've exchanged so much and we know so much about each other, if a t-shirt would be that important to you to put you off me, I don't know if I would want to be with you.
Wow.
So he said that to me. That's what he would have thought if I had said something about it at the time. And it's like, okay, I get that to a certain extent. It's just an article of clothing.
Yes.
But to me, it said so much more. And what it said to him was he loves motorbikes.
Yeah.
But what it said to me was he's potentially a sexist, not very nice person.
Sure.
So, yeah, it was an interesting journey and a very dramatic story, but I'm glad, of course, that it all came together and now we're engaged and very happy together, yeah.
Beautiful. And I mean, it's such an important point because I think a lot of the women I talk to, again, like often if there's something not quite right on the first date, they might tend to sort of just go, no, he's totally not my type, or oh, I couldn't believe what he was saying, or what he was wearing, or so I guess maybe that there is a really good point of like, don't judge a book by its cover straight away, and at least give it a second date, which really what you did that, because you could have easily just gone like, look, sorry, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, I had, and honestly, I seriously considered that because I thought this doesn't match up. Like the whole picture is wrong to me. But then I had this really strong feeling that I need to continue with this. Like this is the right thing to do. So it was like almost an inner guidance thing. And I think if I was to put that down to something other than intuition, it would be the fact that we had contact for so long.
Definitely.
And I couldn't believe that he would be a completely different person. So, yeah, of course, I'm like so happy that I continued. And I think for me, it was breaking through that kind of, I'm sure you have a word for this, but like breaking out of the standard type of man that I had previously been interested in, and then moving to a man who actually, really wanted me.
I love that. Yeah, so he was genuinely wanting to get to know you and actually be with you rather than And the next question, it's actually very much along those lines, is a lot of women I talk to, they have that concept about men are threatened by driven, independent women, and I mean you're a woman on a mission, building her empire. You're very we chat pretty much every day, so yeah, what would you say to that? Because, I mean, 80 is definitely not threatened by your drive, is he?
No, not at all. And I think, at least with the men that I've been with, they haven't been. And 80 definitely isn't. But he's a very confident guy. So I think that he's not viewing it as a competition in that sense. Yeah, I think, like my love journey definitely has not been without ups and downs, but I think from that aspect I haven't really had an issue. But that said, I've never dated extremely career-driven men. Okay. They've always been either interested in the thing that they're doing, or work is really kind of a means to an end to do other things. So that could possibly be to do with my choice of men, I guess. But I think personally I would find it very difficult to be in a relationship with someone who did feel challenged by it, because it's just an integral part of who I am and how I operate. Totally. There's nothing competitive about it. It's just I need to do my thing.
Totally. So let's talk about the business part a bit. So what keeps you, what's your biggest driver in you're at a really great stage in business, but you keep on setting yourself higher goals, and you keep on building your empire. So what stops you from just sort of like going, okay, this is all pretty cruisy and I can just now enjoy where I'm at the moment?
So it's really been a journey discovering this. So in the beginning, I had goals like, I don't want to go back to work, or I want to hit six figures, or, I want my partner to be able to be at home with me. So these were all kind of middle stage goals. And then I realized, well, actually, I'm a really ambitious person, and I really enjoy my work. And when you're in business, you're in a place where you really have control over so many aspects of your life. So why not see how far you can take it? If you're doing meaningful work, which you are as well, why not bring that to more people? Why not help more people? So in the beginning, it was really kind of more immediate goals for myself, but now it's like, well, when I see all the changes that people are experiencing, I have clients that have taken their business traveling, gone around the States. I have clients that are doing incredibly well financially. It's like, why not bring this to more people, and why not just see where I can go with this? Because business is such a personal development journey as well. So absolutely. I think for me, it's obviously the wider effect of my work, but also the fact that, we're operating in an arena where pretty much anything is possible. And that's just a really exciting place to be in and to play and explore and see what you can do.
And what about, and I know I sort of know the answers, but for the audience, has it all been smooth sailing? And did you have some moments where you were nearly going to give up?
So I think in business it's never smooth sailing, even if people, even if it looks that way from the outside. Like, I've definitely had moments where I thought, oh my God, I put everything I had into this thing and it didn't work. So it's, it is a journey of highs and lows, and you always want to be kind of like bringing the level up. So it's not, real crashes, but definitely like it's been a journey. And I mean, you get to hear about this as well, that, sometimes there's flow and things are great, and sometimes there's, everything seems to go wrong all at once in 1 week, whatever it is. But I think that's part of the journey, and part of the, not having the humdrum lifestyle when everything stays the same. So when you are trying to do something really big, there are going to be these obstacles. There are going to be these things where, you have crashes and think, where am I going to find the place to continue from? Absolutely. So yeah,
I just think it's important to talk about that, because we do it too. I guess we sometimes admire people who are sort of have gone even that next level, and we tend to sort of idealize people who we think like, oh wow, they've really got their act together. And it's good for the listeners to know that it does take hard work. It takes resilience and sometimes but it's I mean, you keep on choosing, I guess, to then get back on the horse if something doesn't go according to plan, and just to keep on powering on. So
absolutely.
So what with the business stuff, I guess, what would be your biggest tip for women who would be listening, who might want to consider getting into business, who might have some big fears, or a bit worried about, is it even worth trying that? Like, what would be your sort of piece of advice for the listeners who might be interested in starting their business?
Yeah, I think a lot of people come from that place where they're thinking, can I do this? Is this open to me? And my response to that is most likely yes. So if you have experience in corporate, if you even if you've had experiences in your life in the past that you feel that you can help other people with, there's such a broad range of different types of businesses that you can do, that there's most likely going to be something for you there. So if you're interested in that area, you should definitely explore it. So one of the resources I have on my website, and I will probably put a link to this afterwards, is the Business Idea Starter Kit, and that walks you through a process of looking at what you're interested in, looking at the areas you're passionate about, and looking at what's marketable and bringing it together. So there's really a lot that you can do, and there's almost like a whole sub-economy of people who are working for themselves, doing all kinds of different things. And it's much easier to step into than you might imagine. Like, yes, there are the challenges when growing your business and every level of business, but this is something that I think is more available to people now than it ever has been. So definitely explore.
And also, I mean, it's a, even for people who are employed, it's not a stable environment. So it's such a great time to take charge of your future and do something that you have control over. So what is the best way for? We will link the what you've just mentioned, the link underneath. But what's another good way for if anyone wants to get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch with me, so if you are interested in business, if you want to talk about this further, is literally just to book in a call with me. So I do a limited number of strategy calls every week, and we can link that underneath the video.
Perfect.
But what I do in these calls is, this can be for people who are thinking about coming to business, or people who are already in business and want to look at how to become more profitable, get more clients, how to scale, all these things. But basically we go through where you're at now, the potentials for you to move forward, any blockages you're experiencing. I give you some strategy for how to move forward. And of course, if it's a fit and if potentially there's a way that's going to work for us to work together, then we can also look at that.
Perfect.
We'll put the link, yeah.
We put the link underneath. So any more last, because I'm realizing we're wrapping up in a few minutes, any more last pieces of advice for, I guess, women who really just want to have a bigger life in general? Because I mean, you've got the great relationship and you've really followed your passion. Is there any other path, pearls of wisdom that you want to share with the audience?
Sure. So I think a lot of it is believing that you can and just taking the steps every day to make it happen, which is, such simple advice, but I think it's what really works. Like, if you're in a place where you're feeling stuck, then there is going to be a way for you to get out of it, even if you're, you need a bit of time to figure it out. So I was stuck in a career I didn't enjoy. I moved here, I started a business, but every day I'm thinking about, how do I want my life to be? So for me, I wanted to be living in a beautiful environment. I just want to move out of the city.
We can see a beautiful background there up in
and just, taking steps to make that happen. And of course, there will be fear that will come up, fear of leaving a bad relationship, or fear of doing something new, or whatever it is. But ultimately, it's that thing where you get to decide ultimately. So while there are going to be risks, I always recommend kind of look at your alternatives, take measured risks, but always make sure that you're moving forward to what you want, because any time that you spend kind of stuck, feeling shitty about whatever aspect of your situation it is essentially wasted time at the end of the day. So you really want to be kind of keeping your eye on the fact that you want something bigger, whatever it is that you want in life, and keep moving towards that.
It's such a key point. I think there's a quote that says something like, unless you're moving forwards, you're actually moving backwards. So there's no sort of you're either growing or you're sort of dying, and that very much resonates with with what you said about taking consistent action. So always take some action consistently moving forwards, even if it's just small actions, right? Because it's better taking small consistent action than like this huge action thing and then not doing anything for months. And I mean, that's really very much one of your strengths. You're very strategic and action and result focused. So yeah, awesome piece of advice there. So thanks so much for your time, and we will be sharing the links underneath, and of course we will be we'll be in touch because we talk every day. And again, it's been great to hear your story about love and also how you chose to move to Australia and building your empire. So thanks again for being on the call.
Thanks so much for having me, Camille. It's been fun. Thank you.
Bye.